Okay, this is an interesting situation in our little randomly devised game. The reason that we're taking this time to show this is because it has some interesting nuances. When you randomly place troops on a game table, you get situations like this. So, in truth, what you have to do is you actually have to, well, use your best judgment when it comes to balance. And what we're seeing here is the initial turn. The troops have been placed. They were placed in the foot margins of the 4x4 board. So, essentially, you could have said, well, why are they facing this way? Why aren't they facing that way or that way? You know, what was the determination to have them face that way? And what was the determination for the Confederates as well to face this way? Well, essentially, I suppose you have to make it aware to both sides that they're right next to each other before anything gets placed. You have to say, okay, there's a Confederate unit on this quadrant, and there's a Union unit in this quadrant. So what do you want to do? Do you want to, get everybody on the road so they can immediately run away, or go somewhere else? And bear in mind, we haven't placed the units yet that are up there. You see them. The markers are out, but the units themselves are not. So what do you want to do? And I use the judgment that essentially what's going to happen is the player is going to deploy, and so the Confederate player is going to do the same thing. So you could say that, well, it was random. But the Confederates are attacking. They're obviously more numerous, which is odd. And the Union is going to try and do their best. And so that's where we leave it. So immediately there's simultaneous firing. The assumption is that they both moved there. They both were back here, and then they moved like this. So that they both moved, the guns are set down, and the guns are now firing. So we just measured the first band for this unit firing here, and it was automatic color code to that for range, but with an officer present, it goes back to color, which is blue. And so that allows us to find out there's no other modifiers, so blue is rolled, and it caused a hit. So put a red hit down on the unit. It's also interesting to note that there's an artillery unit placed in the forest. We're going to allow it because for whatever reason, perhaps the forest is not dense enough, the artillery battery was able to get to that position. And by the way, they are in fact light guns. So they're going to return fire after the infantry is done here. So again, automatic color into the forest, code because of the cover, and he's out of commander range. So it looks like it's just going to be a roll of red. All right, so interesting. I'm going to use the tablet to roll the dice. And he scored a hit. Now, mind you, the artillery hasn't fired yet, but they will. Okay, so this guy's going to fire as well somewhere here. So automatic color code. Automatic color code goes to the unit in the forest. Ganging up is not allowed at the same range band, so this unit cannot hit one of these. In some cases, however, there's not going to be a choice because you're going to have to, compare units. And in this particular case, we've essentially got 4 versus 3. So automatic color code in the forest, higher than or one more goes to automatic color code. Oh, it's code and color. There's no officer within range, so it looks like it's going to have to be a star for him to get a hit. And then we got to check the general too, by the way. General is within range. Interesting. Oh my god. They got lucky. They got a hit on that unit. I gotta check for the general kill 3 times, because he's within sphere of all 3 targets. Yikes. First roll. Nope. Second roll. Yeah. The general has been killed. Yikes. That is a problem. And this artillery didn't even fire yet. Well, it's going to fire now, and I guess it'll select the cannon on the outside of the forest. Or, yeah, that's not in the forest. So bands of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is automatic color to that range. So blue, it's canister. So it's going to be a double hit. These, I believe, might be light guns, though. So they're going to cause 2 red hits, but it's just out of the automatic canister hit range, which is to say that we are going to simply reduce it by a half hit. It's what we call an incremental hit. So it's actually going to cause, from the canister fire, 1.5 red. So we'll call it 1 red hit and a incremental hit. And it just so happens, do I have those incremental? Yes, I do. Wow, interesting. So turning this one over to a 2.5 on this artillery piece. And of course, they're going to come back with full canister, especially from this guy here. He's going to be 1 out. But I believe these are 4 12-pound howitzers. That is bad news. So firing back, he's going to actually pick the infantry. Automatic color, it's just, I'm sorry, it's an automatic range band there, but it's just 1 out. But in this case, these are not all 6-pounders. There's 6 guns in the battery. That's going to automatically cause an incremental hit increase. There are 4 in this particular battery 12-pound howitzers. That's going to cause an immediate 2 hits for canister, plus 1, because it is let's see, 4, it's 6-gun battery. We already did that, but it's just out. It would have been 3 hits from this. No, that's right, it wouldn't be 3, because there's only 4. This is where we need to know what these units are comprised of. There's 4 12-pound howitzers. At actual, in the first range band, it would have been 3 hits. Extremely deadly and horrible. But it's just 1 hex out. Hence the reason it's a hit and a half. So it's an it's an automatic 2 hits for, I didn't complete the explanation. It's an automatic 2 hits for canister, but just being outside, we diminish it. So it's actually 1.5. So if this becomes 1.5 with the half increase because of the 6-gun battery, it turns into 2 hits. So without even having to roll a die, that's an immediate gap creator of huge magnitude in that 59th Illinois. And the infantry fires automatic color code. Commander was there. So back to color, which is blue, no other modifiers. Firing at the artillery crews, missed. And this gun is going to fire automatic grape shot here. And it's a, is that a 6-gun battery? No, it's a 4-gun battery, but it's in full grape shot range. So that's going to be an immediate 2 hits on that unit right there. So pretty much giving is as good as they got, and that is not good. These 2 infantry units are badly chopped up, and no doubt on the next hit they are going to be routing. So with the death of the general, though, a completely at least of the 2 brigades that are here, losing 1 is not good. And so that's where we like to do these little demos and show you how that all happens. And again, this was an initial turn. Units are placed, immediately fire, and that's the result. Nobody's actually moved yet. So we'll just begin the next turn with movement, and I imagine rolling for initiative. So let's hope the Union gets it and can get out of there, because they are not going to survive it. Okay, here we have set our units up, and right away you can see that there are some issues. The proximity between the two cannons is really, really close. As a matter of fact, it's just 1 hex beyond the normal canister range for both of these cannons. And I set these up as if it was me, by the way. So as if I was in this situation and I was given this command, I would say, okay, this is how I would put it together. So I put the cavalry over here on the hill, and somewhat down the slope, these 3 companies of the unit, 2 infantry regiments, and then the artillery battery. So it's going to fire canister plus 1 hex into this Union artillery, which is right here. So because I rolled red, it goes to blue. So they both get that hit plus the incremental. And we have to check for commander kill, so we're going to do that as well. Confederate, yes, he's killed. Union, no, he's not. Confederate commander is killed here as well. Now that is very bad, because what that does is that affects all the units in the sphere. For them to continue doing what they're doing or to do something else, they have to roll to see if they want to do it. It's as simple as that. And it's a red roll as usual. So if we order them to advance, they have to roll red to do it. If we order them to stay there, they have to roll red to do it. Otherwise, where do they go? They either go toward the nearest friendly force, which I guess would be that way, because I don't think it's going to be this way. So it looks to me it's going to be this way. And now we're going to have some other combat. So automatic color code for the range, code and color because of the cover. The commander was there, so it goes back to code. I'm going to roll for red. Yes, and it did happen, so they get a hit. Oh, I'm sorry, I took that hit away. The next infantry unit fires. Building is an obscurity, so automatic color code and color, ineffective. Commander makes it code and color. According to this, I have hit, but let's make sure I got that count right. Automatic color code for the range, code and color for being undercover. Ineffective because of this obscurity. Commander makes it CNC. Yeah, they got a hit. The 4th Arkansas got a good score right there. And of course, coming back, same thing, except they're not in cover. And we got it. So these guys are picking on each other pretty well. And in this summary, the Confederate commander has been killed, so that is going to be a big problem. Especially for these guys right here, it's going to be huge. Because their next orders are going to be what? Stay there? Okay. If that's the case, say this is the next turn. They're going to stay in place. Or he orders them to move. In any case, we roll to see if they do it. So let's order them to stay in place. Start here, rolling. That's a fail. Next one rolls. And that is a fail. The next one, the artillery. And that's a fail. And the cavalry is... Yeah, it wasn't sphere. All of these guys have failed their order to remain in place. So these guys are not going to remain in place. They're going to have to withdraw. And we haven't even done the activation sequence yet. So we'll have to see. These guys are going to advance into them. That's their orders. Let's roll for activation. 10-sided. Confederates first. 9. Union. 8. Confederates get first activation. So they are being ordered, they were ordered to remain in place. Commander affects them to the extent that they are not going to be able to do it. So they are going to back up. The distance is going to have to be random. So it's going to be red for 2, blue for 3. 1, 2, and 3. This is strange because these guys are backing up almost directly on top of the Union units on the other flank that are coming back. So these guys limber up and move. I'll move their damage indicators away. So these guys go 1, 2, and 3, and they're limbered up. These guys go 1, 2, and 3, or I should say 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Now that puts them out of arc. Even though they're on the slope, they're also behind the forest, and these guys are on the hill. So as I was saying, we've seen the Confederate have to move back, and the Union has ordered its troops forward. The cavalry is going to scoot around here. The infantry moves forward, artillery stays in place, and over on the far left of this position, by the way, this is turn 2, the units have moved forward with one cavalry unit on its left, and the other 2 regiments have advanced like this. So the artillery stays in place and is going to now bombard the Confederates up there. But only one is visible. We should put the trees back. That unit is actually in the behind the forest there. So that's what this is looking like. Just the one is open on top of the hill. So if we were to fire these 2, well, let's get the commander up there for one thing. So commander within sphere, automatic color code and color up the hill goes to back to code. So we're looking for red, and they got it. And the next unit, because it can't see anything else essentially, by the looks of this, I would say no. Can only fully see these guys here. So again, automatic color code up the hill, code and color. Commander makes it back to code. So re-rolling, looking for red again. And they missed. So that's that quick little turn number 2 situation. It's very, very interesting. I feel it's very interesting, and the reason is because it's out of my control in a sense. I didn't plan for this to happen this way because the unit's locations determined what was going to happen, and that's a very cool thing when you don't have control. Things just kind of, you can make the moves. Sure, you can say, this is what's going to happen here,
but the initial planning is kind of taken away from you. And that's very cool. It's kind of wonky because it's like, again, two battles in one. There's one over here, which is resolved on however many turns that took, and this is like on turn 2, coming over, I mean, to this side. So it's weird. For whatever reason, the battle has, it's interesting because actually in some battles could be seen that way. They were more than just a single, solitary, massive battle. They actually were never that way. We look at it that way because we see it on the maps and we go, oh, this is a big battle of Gettysburg. But the truth of the matter is there was Culp's Hill, Little Round Top, Cemetery Ridge, Cemetery Hill. There's all different kinds of mini battles within the big battle because they all occurred at different times. The only thing that happened all at once was day 3, of course, when it comes to Gettysburg. The big, advance on Cemetery Ridge. All right, so there we are. Very interesting stuff. We'll come back and we'll do, that'll be turn 3. Okay, so clearly this is a bizarre situation. And this has turned out to be a really good camera view. Again, just to point out, the arriving unit right here is not coming in yet. It's just, that's a reminder to show that it's coming in there. The Union, that's the Confederate Brigade or some demi division, whatever it is. We don't really know yet, but it looks like it's got like 6 markers on it. This one over here is the Union Brigade that's going to be coming in on turn 6. Now this is turn 3. I should say this is turn 3 of this sector, okay? This guy way back here, he's already gone to turn 1, 2, 3, I think 4. Let's see, 1, initial, 2nd, 3rd. Actually, I think that's the 3rd turn for them too. 7 for the cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it would be about right. Close enough. And so that's what we've got here. The Union is going to decide what to do here. It's very interesting. They're clearly outnumbering these guys, but these guys are on the higher ground for now. And the Union has got this cavalry small battalion, just 2 companies essentially. And it's probably going to order, with the commander present like this, no doubt the artillery that's pretty badly beat up here is probably just going to either withdraw or saddle up and move down the road here so that it can maybe do something. But with 2 hits on it, it's pretty damaged. So the commander's going to take this unit and issue the order. We'll roll for initiative again and see who gets to go first. The Confederates more than likely continue to either back up, because I think attacking this unit here would, that's a hard call to make. There's no commander for this unit, so it's going to be dubious as to whether they can go on the attack. And even though it's an obvious open flank, there's no commander here. And the Confederate cavalry, of course, isn't in sight of this at this particular moment. Now, when I moved these guys there, I moved them their distance from the earlier turn we saw, but I didn't put them there for any reason, like to be out of sight. I wanted them actually to be out of a sight of being shot. And so I put them by this Morgan house and farm area. And so that's why they're still there and they haven't moved yet. But their orders essentially are going to be to stay there because they don't want to be flanked. There's a possibility with this cavalry that these guys are going to, this unit would be flanked. So they're going to hold the flank, possibly even dismount to engage or to defend this forest area right in here. More than likely, that would be probably a good idea. Just go ahead and dismount and put them in the forest here and get ready to fire. They do have hits on them, but we'll have to watch that. So these guys are going to probably move to back up. This artillery unit, it was damaged. Oh, these are the markers right here. Okay, sorry. So these are the markers right here for that unit. It's got a level 1 hit plus a incremental hit. So they could probably sit down and fire on the flank, and perhaps these guys would just back up 1 hex to get on top of the hill and protect the gun as it's firing. Cavalry, like I said, might dismount and go in here, probably a better move. Or at least dismount 2 of the companies and send the other company mounted. Well, these guys don't, these Confederates back here don't really need any help per se. They're already outnumbering. So I think the smarter thing to do would take these 3 companies and dismount them, put them in the forest, and that's pretty good firepower for defending this flank here. So let's see what happens, and we'll roll for initiative. Let's go to our little online dice roller. A D10. Confederates roll 6. Union rolls 9. So the Union's got the advantage here, which is not good, because they don't want to let the Confederates get away. They do have cover, looks like, in the region right in front. So these guys, 1-2 battalions, could get up on the hill and protect or mount a defense here, which is more than likely. This cavalry might go down and try and help. No doubt that will be their move. And this artillery is going to limber up and get the heck out of here, because they're already damaged, and there's just not going to be too much they can do without a commander present, especially. So so we'll limber them up and move them. So 1, 2, and 3 down the road. We'll just use the limber to represent them for now. Sorry for the arm in the way. Okay. And so the infantry will move 1, 2, and 3 to get on this hill. And 1, 2, and facing is good enough for these guys. The cavalry, on the other hand, considering that the Confederates are right there down the end here, more than likely, looking at this, Union infantry is just going to open fire on the Confederates there. That would be good. So what we'll do is we'll take these 2, 3, 4, and 5, dismount and fire them. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just like on the ridge. They're going to dismount and fire. Commander will be with them. So this artillery unit is moving. Actually, that's the divisional commander, Mr. Davis. Okay, so 1, 2, stay there. 1, 2, and there's no reason for the commander to threaten himself, so he's going to stay back. And the cavalry, well, the best idea would be to take this hill up here. Actually, you can't quite see that, so let's just up and turn. All right. So here, we'll take the cavalry 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's get up on top of that high ground, and then we'll see if something can happen. And then after this, so the Confederates can now, as the non-phasing, but they're going to move. So they can move and fire, but that'll be their action for the turn. If we go and look exactly what they're doing. So this unit right here If the Confederates are going to move, they are marking these guys to move, but they can shoot before they move, which means the Union will fire when it gets to this location, because it's optimal as opposed to firing from back here. So they're going to move and fire. The Confederates, however, in a move order, will fire at just before they themselves move. So right now they actually, and this is another nuance here, you see, they actually will not fire just now. They will fire after this because they lost the initiative. These guys got the initiative. That's the whole point. These guys are going to fire. The casualties are going to be felt, and then the Confederates are going to fire and then move. It may be a moot point, but let's just demonstrate it. So, no commander. Automatic color for the range going uphill. Code. No damage. So it looks like code for both of them. And the one that's just behind here we'll ignore because he's just in a wonky position. So these two units will fire on that one up there, the 16th Arkansas. So let's do that. Firing, looking for code, automatic, color, code, no other mods. And that's a blue. The 3rd Missouri fires, looking for the same thing, and misses as well. So that being said, nothing else to prevent the Confederates from going ahead with their move. So this gun will set down and fire right there. These guys are going to back up one and back up one. I know I'm really close to the camera, so I don't want to shout, but they're going to move back there, and then actually they're going to fire from right here. So they're firing automatic, color, code because of the fence, and code and color because they've each got a hit. So it looks like a CNC for both of them. First firing. And the other one that fires after this guy, he fires after he gets there. He got it. So it's a good thing I didn't put the commander there, or else we'd have to check him for a hit. So the 14th Arkansas caused a hit, and that's something. Okay, now over to our distant past. We're going to take the cavalry dismounting on the cavalry here. So that looks like automatic, color, code because of the fence, and commander brings it back to color because of the commander presence. They are dismounted, so there's no firing penalty. It's just going to be color, and they're firing as individual companies, so that's like a skirmish order deal. That's the way we do that. So that's 2 incremental hits coming up if they get the hit, which is color, which is blue. So that's a miss, and the next one is a hit. So an incremental hit goes on one of the cavalry stands. So it's important that you understand why this happens the way it does. The entire cavalry unit is dismounted and firing. So why is that different than an entire regiment of infantry? Well, the reason it's different is because they don't have rifled muskets. Secondly, they're not firing in a mass formation like a infantry battalion would. These guys are numerous, but nowhere near as numerous as an actual pardon me, infantry battalion. If they had repeaters, they would get a +1, but they don't. They have simple carbines or other weapons, and that's what happened there. So, as we know in the distance here, the Confederates have captured that artillery battery. They can't use it. We don't allow such things to happen because it's just a given that these guys have no idea how to work a gun for the most part. They would need to bring up a crew to get that gun to work. That can be symbolized either by a wagon getting up there or a commander. So if a commander would get there, he would symbolize the knowledge to be able to fire that gun. So the infantry, with one hit, commander presence fires on the cavalry as well. It looks like it's an automatic hit, but it goes to blue because of the hit they have on themselves. But commander's there, so it goes back to being automatic. So they automatically get a red hit on the cavalry, which is, you know, not bad, but it's not good either because it's a full casualty hit. So the cavalry's they're taking their punishment for attacking and taking that battery. If they want to cart it away, that's a possibility, but it would take time. Also, the gunners did not have a chance to spike those guns because they just sat down when the Confederates attacked. They did not have the time to spike them. The guns set down and they were going to fire next turn, but in that same turn, the Confederate cavalry took them. So that was unfortunate. So in a result, we can see that the Union has developed a kind of a line, which is good, and the Confederacy has kind of a line, but there's a bulge going on right here with these guys. So if this was the next turn for this area as well, then as it is, because we just fired these guys, let's go ahead and say this is turn, well, 3, and go ahead and move these guys to where would be the next logical place for them to be, because we do have the initiative. So in doing that, looking overhead, for likely yes, and I know I did jump ahead off and on. The Confederate is going to fire, set down and fire, but that is considered a move, setting down and firing. So that will happen in his turn. And I know we took this a little out of sequence because we thought it would be expeditious, right? And again, it kind of was. Okay, so Union regiments, more than likely, the smart thing to do is back up and get into this forest, which they do. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So pretty good, nice line. The 59th Illinois has got 2 hits on it. That's not good. They should get out. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. They're just absolutely gonna about face and get up that hill. They're in range of the commander, so anything happens to them, they should be fine. So that's that. Confederates are now going to go. We just did part of that. These guys sit down and firing. They're now going to fire down the hill if that's a legal shot. The edge of the hill is heck, and it looks like it's possible. So they're going to open up with an automatic hit, but it's in a forest, so we have to roll blue to get the full effect. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to roll code to get the full effect. And because they do have damage, this artillery battery does have damage. They missed the die roll, so they don't get the full effect of a hit and a incremental. They'll just get the 1 automatic hit. Okay, so as we said, it is the next turn, and as we fly over, the Confederates are going to advance their strongest
advantage. 1, 2, and 3, so that's obvious. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then this is going to go 1, 2, and maybe 3 like that. Commander in the middle. These guns are going to pick up again, and actually this is an interesting point to make here, that both these guns have suffered casualties, and it seems we do allow this, and it seems like you should allow it, that they should be able to, during the battle, combine, amalgamate, and that's what we're going to let them do, because otherwise it's pointless. So the 2.5 will just remove, actually that's 4 hits right there, just adds 1 and takes away a gun. So we'll take away the, actually we'll take away the lighter of the 2 and just keep the hit there. The single hit and a incremental hit, which is what the pink marker is. All right, so then the skirmishers, this dismounted cavalry unit, probably let's look at something else before we do that. The cavalry attacking this infantry, probably give it a go. So that's 1 there, and then we'll go 1, 2, and 3 there. And because he's already got a hit, he's a loss of a zone of control, so that means this guy can actually proceed 1 more, and that means that all these stands are now going to be fighting this infantry unit. And this crew is gone. Gun is just left there. Okay. Let's take these away with the rest of the casualties. Okay, so that's what we're looking at right here. The infantry, right. We are talking about the dismounted cavalry here. Probably to protect the flank, move them right down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the road. And that's a pretty nice scene right there. This dismounted cavalry, the 1st Missouri Battalion, is going to be firing at the cavalry. The infantry's coming up, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They'll come up like this. And we'll mount up and move this artillery 1, 2, and 3. And the next turn on the road, they'll move faster, of course. So that's where we are at with this Confederate situation. We'll have the melee here. We have this melee going on. We have this firing going on. And then, of course, we have the firing going on here. So we'll take all of that in stride as we continue. Again, it's just proving out to be really interesting stuff. Okay, let's do the die rolling. Let's do any combat casualties there, yeah. So let's do this to this, and the artillery has already fired. So this to this, so that's automatic color, code for the hit, no general, so he needs red. And he didn't get it. Coming back, these guys are in cover, so basically, but he does have a general, so it's automatic color code. Goes back to color for the commander. No casualties. Yep. So that's good. This flips over to a 2. This guy firing automatic color code because he knows in the forest as well. Commander effect goes back to color, but back to code because he's got a hit right there. Yep, that's a hit. So, not doing too bad. Combat-wise, coming back, automatic color code with 1 hit. Sorry, I just placed that. So, automatic color code because of the fence. Looking for red. Yeah, not bad. So that flips over. Not bad. Firing at the rear of these guys, automatic color code, not on top of the hill yet. With the hit, goes to code and color. Firing at the rear doesn't give you a bonus. No bonus for firing at the rear. So we said it was automatic color code and one hit. Code and color, yeah. No, no hit. Okay. Infantry, automatic color. Color, 3 blue attempts. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3, uh-oh. Only 1. Huh. Those dismounted cavalry just got the 1 hit, and it was an incremental hit. So they still have to check the general. He's okay. And now the melee. So in this particular case, we're going to take all the stands at once as a single unit. So they are starting out with a level of 5 for being mounted. I'm sorry, 4 for being mounted. -1 goes to 3. The infantry is 3 minus 1 is 2. But the commander present gives them 1, so it's actually 1-to-1 odds there. So they're both going to roll. No real advantage. To the one stand that appears to be flanking, yeah, we're going to have to give a modifier for that because the unit is being flanked. That'll have to be a modifier of 1 level. So they are, in fact, 1 level superior. So the Confederates are rolling. They roll blue. The Union rolling. They roll red. So the Union causes a hit. The Confederates cause a incremental hit, but with a +1 goes to a normal hit. So as it turns out, this just gets flipped over to a 2, and this gets flipped over to a 2. And we're going to check the general to see if he gets killed because he's in proximity. And he is dead. Poor guy. That is Pattison has been killed, which is not good. And it's going to result in this guy's next order being questionable. So that's it for the turn number 4. Turn number 5 begins now, and does not look good. There's really, again, we have this so many times. It seems to happen, doesn't it? It's kind of funny. We have this kind of a horseshoe defense going on once again, or a fish hook. It's interesting the way that happens. Find it interesting. Okay, rolling for initiative. Back to a D10. Rolling Confederates. 11, yay! And the Union rolls. Wait a minute. Whoa, it can't be right. It's a D10. Oh, I rolled a D12, okay. Rolling Confederates. 2, oh no. Union rolls. 4, just barely. Oh no. Union wins initiative again.
So, yikes. Confederates lost initiative again, even though they're attacking. Well, they're more numerous in one area. Anyway, the fact is that they did not get the initiative. Okay, so the melee will continue. This is turn number 5. This Confederates are arriving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Artillery is running, and Union is moving, but with only these 2 troops here, it doesn't seem likely that they're going to be successful against that, even though the cavalry's out there guarding. Infantry's there almost 1-to-1, not worth it. These guys could get into the forest and press them. Probably will, to join with the rest of the forces and just start to defend, although it is downhill. They will probably do that. This unit has been injured. It is probably going to rout if it gets shot again, but thank God we have the initiative. If this, in the process, would be everybody marking orders. If he were to mark hold, which is likely, then he would be able to shoot here. And this would be hold more than likely. So actually this might be a move, because that's got 2 hits on it. So exchange places. This guy will come up here, this guy will go back, this guy come up here, and we have 3 units versus 2, 1 versus this one. So that would be a hold. The artillery comes up and sets down. We'll fire next turn. We have this gun here, who again is going to fire an automatic and cause a hit here. These guys are going to rout because they've got 2 hits on them already. So that's not good. So that's going to rout. These guys had better get down in there. So if the Confederates in their move decided to attack, you know, they could almost pull it off, because they do have this arriving unit back here next turn. So if the Confederates attacked, then they had this arriving unit attacking, it would be pretty much over for the Union. It almost looks like a second Manassas. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, because, well, just so happens it was all random anyway. So let's do the hold fire on this guy before anything else, and then we'll do the Union movements. These are going to be hold fires, so they'll happen as well right here. These are hold fires. This is going to be moving fires. So 1, 2, and 3 will get down in there, then they'll fire up, and that could be bad for these guys. So let's do that. These are hold. One of these is a hold, so that's going to fire now. This artillery is a hold. That'll fire now. That's going to rout them automatically. So 1, 2, and 3 routes. 1, 2, and 3 routes to on top of the hill. Okay, so let's just take that as a given. 1, 2, and 3 routes on top of the hill. Let's do this firing because we don't know how that's going to transpire. That's the sticky one. So it's going to be, whoops, not that dice. Automatic, color, code for the range. 1 hit goes to code and color, and he missed. Which is actually too bad, because in a sense, if this guy had routed, it would have been better. But as it is, he's going to move 1, 2, turn around. Actually, he's not going to turn around. Yes, he is. He's going to turn around, take his marker with him. Okay. This guy's routing. The 2nd Missouri and 24th Missouri are both going to get down in there and fire.
Just checking to see how many hits that guy has. So that was a hold fire, hold fire. This is a move when the Confederates do to it. This guy's all by himself, but this guy's already fired. These are going to be engaged with the cavalry, so the cavalry will move up like this. We're going to dismount these guys, and now everybody's going to exchange fire there. But the cavalry's not going to move any closer. Actually, they're going to stay right there. So automatic color code. I'm sorry, that's not cavalry, that's the general. Okay, so that looks like about it. And the Union move elsewhere is not moving. So that we said was a route, but it's already in the proximity of the commander. So next turn, which is turn 6, he will rally up. That was a marker from one of the other units. So let's just go ahead and do the combat with the cavalries right here, and this melee. I think that it's almost going to be a wash, but I would say the game may be over if that Confederate cavalry wins. So they're rolling. They are rolling. They roll red. The Union rolls with no commander. They both roll red. So, regardless what the casualties are, the actual results are. The fact is, they both cause a hit. He routes 1, 2, and 3. No commander present, so I might as well remove him. The Confederate cavalry routes, and that's 3 back. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3.